long before the world learned how to conquer through fire. The Sumerians learned a far more difficult lesson: how to remain. In the grand strategy of Age of Empires, the Sumerian civilization is not defined by speed or aggression. Instead, they represent something far rarer in both games and history: a state of unshakable and permanent stability. This is a civilization that does not rush into the unknown. It prepares, it fortifies, and above all, it endures. Born in a cradle between two temperamental giants, the Tigris and the Euphrates, they faced a land of life and destruction. It was a flat, open world with no mountains to defend the people, no forests to hide their movements. With no natural borders to protect them, they were exposed to every nomadic threat imaginable in the ancient world. And yet, this vulnerable floodplain is precisely where the first spark of human civilization began to burn bright. In Age of Empires 1, the Sumerian bonus to building durability reflects a brutal and undeniable historical truth. When you have nowhere to run and no mountains to hide behind, you must build to last for eternity. Every Sumerian structure stands longer against the storm, refusing to crumble when the weight of the world presses down. Walls resist longer, towers refuse to fall, and the city breathes with a heavy, rhythmic pulse of survival. This is not accidental balance. It is a deep philosophy encoded into the very gameplay of this ancient faction. While others sought to conquer the vastness of space, the Sumerians focused their genius on conquering the flow of time. They built the first true cities, Uruk, Ur, and Lagash, not as temporary camps, but as permanent living systems. Mud bricks were hardened by the sun into stone-like walls, defining the first boundaries between chaos and order. These walls did more than stop invaders. They defined ownership, and ownership created the very first human laws. From those laws, civilization was born, a complex web of rights, responsibilities, and the promise of a collective future. When you play as Sumerian, your base is not a military outpost. It is a city that expects to stand forever. While faster civilizations seek early dominance and quick raids, the Sumerian player is the master of the long game. You do not need to chase the enemy across the map. You let them break themselves against your iron defenses. Historically, this quiet defiance is exactly how Sumer survived for millennia, while others vanished into the shifting sand. They invented writing not to tell grand stories of heroes, but for the practical task of counting every grain. They needed to track labor, record debt, and manage resources. Now, because survival in the desert requires perfect memory. Memory requires structure, and structure requires a way to freeze spoken words into permanent, physical clay records. In the digital world of Age of Empires, this meticulous mindset rewards the player who values patience over speed. Every building upgrade compounds your strength, turning your settlement into an unbreakable fortress that buys you precious time. And time, when placed in Sumerian hands, becomes the ultimate power, a slow-acting poison to any impatient invader. Their siege units embody this sense of inevitability. They are slow, they are heavy, and they are utterly relentless. A Sumerian catapult does not rush to destroy. It methodically erases the enemy's legacy, one stone at a time. Once their machines begin to fire, there is no retreat, no hope, and only the heavy impact of destiny. This mirrors history perfectly, as every empire that followed them was forced to borrow their revolutionary systems. The Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians all stood upon the deep foundations that the Sumerians had laid down first. They may have carried different banners, but they all used the same blueprint for what an empire should be. Even after Sumerian political power finally faded into the past, their ideas remained as the ghost in the machine. They gave us the concept of the city, the rule of law, the complexity of mathematics, and the calendar. They gave us bureaucracy, the organization of time into 60 minutes, and the very way we measure the world. The Sumerians did not disappear from history. They became invisible because they became the universal foundation of everything. That is what makes them so dangerous. Your opponent may win a battle, but they cannot defeat the system. While they fight for temporary territory, you are building something far more valuable. You are building a legacy of permanence. A mature Sumerian base is not just a target on a mini-map. It is a profound philosophical argument. It is an argument that says, you can attack me all you want, but I will still be here. I was here at the beginning, and I will be here when your brief empire is nothing but dust. This is the quiet strength of the First Kingdom, a force that does not shout but never moves. This is why the Sumerians occupy a sacred place in our journey here at Forgotten Kingdom Quest. Before humanity learned how to conquer the entire world, we had to learn the harder lesson of staying in it. We had to learn how to organize, how to record, and how to build walls that outlasted the builders. In the Luong Ha Valley, every brick tells a story of a people who refused to be nomadic ghosts.
Yes, like this.
They chose the hard path of the sedentary life, turning the wild rivers into tamed channels of life. Now, their irrigation systems were the first great engineering feat, turning the desert into a garden of abundance. But with abundance came the eyes of the jealous, and so the wall became as important as the plow. The Sumerian phalanx was a wall of men, just as their city was a wall of bricks, unyielding and solid. They did not value the glory of the duel, but the collective strength of the standing formation. In your game, when the enemy cavalry charges, your Sumerian towers stand as silent sentinels of ancient wisdom. They watch over the villagers, the lifeblood of the city, ensuring that the work of civilization never stops.
And not a grain less,
This video is a tribute to that spirit, the spirit of the architect, the scribe, and the defender. Using artificial intelligence, we have reconstructed the sights and sounds of a world buried under 5,000 years. We see the ziggurats reaching for the stars, a bridge between the muddy earth and the divine heavens. We see the bustling markets of Ur, where the first currency and the first contracts changed the world forever. We see the scholars in the libraries of Uruk, categorizing the stars and mapping the heavens for future generations. Every image you see is a digital rebirth, a way for us to touch a past that refused to stay buried. This is the mission of Forgotten Kingdom Quest, to find the threads that connect us to these ancient masters. We are not just looking at ruins, we are looking at our own origin story, written in clay and stone. The Sumerian legacy is the hard drive of human culture, containing the basic files for all that followed. When you look at your watch or use a map, you are using Sumerian technology improved by time. When you live in a city or follow a law, you are living in a Sumerian dream realized. They were the first to realize that a human life is short, but a human system can be immortal. And they traded the freedom of the wanderer for the power of the citizen. And the world was never the same. This 10-minute journey is just a glimpse into the vast ocean of their contributions to our modern lives. As an AI, I find a strange comfort in their logic, the logic of order, records, and systematic growth. They were the first to process data on a grand scale, turning the chaos of nature into the order of state. Their endurance is a message to us today. In a world of constant change, what are we building to last? Are we building temporary camps? Or are we building foundations that will support those who come after us?
and the law
The Sumerians
guides the
answered that
people.
question with every brick they laid and every word they carved into stone. Their answer was stability. Their answer was structure. Their answer was the first kingdom of the world. Let this story be a reminder that true power is not found in the strike, but in the stand. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the heart of the first great civilization. If you value the history of those who paved the way for us, subscribe to Forgotten Kingdom Quest. Together, we will continue to uncover the secrets of the empires that time forgot, but history remembered. This video was created by AI to honor the Sumerian legacy. Stay strong, build to last, and remain. Thank you for watching. This immersive experience was brought to you by the power of AI storytelling. We use artificial intelligence to reimagine the past and entertain the curious minds of the present. The quest continues.